Faith outreach in the Democratic Party has had its ebbs and flows. Democrats struggled with it during the 90s and earlier on. As the religious right became more and more partisan and associated with Republicans, unfortunately, and many times what the Democratic response was, instead of reclaiming that space, was to just push back against it and create this cycle of becoming more and more secular, saying, oh, this is what faith in politics looks like. It's what they're doing. We don't want to be like that. We don't want to do that. I worked on the campaign in '04 when Kerry lost, and there was the famous God gap, and I still remember the next morning sitting down and saying, this is something we've got to address. We shouldn't be losing on the Bible. With my former business partner, Mara Vanderslice, I helped start Common Good Strategies, which we just, whether providence or luck, hit the historical sweet spot, and we were the only people doing faith outreach. We weren't just going to write the same speech and have different people give it. To have faith outreach work, it has to be authentic to the person doing it. And that also meant there were some times where we wouldn't work for everybody. We only worked for candidates who wanted to engage the faith community in an authentic way. It was important to them. There were a number of Democrats who wanted to do this, thought we could do this well, and they were reinforced and validated, but also just the purely political ones who were looking for how do we get out of the wilderness, saw that, oh, reaching out to these people, articulating our values in an authentic way, this works. And so that then helped launch the broader movement that was picked up by Obama, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. By that point, Elazon, we were their largest consultant on the Red to Blue program, worked with 40 candidates there, and really helped bring this to scale in '08 and led to all the major gains we saw there. One of the difficulties we ran into when we won the White House and won Congress was a lot of the best people who'd done most of this work, had a lot of these relationships, moved into the White House. And I think to their great credit, they didn't want to be a White House faith office that was just a political shill and was used for messaging. They wanted to do this right. And that meant not being as political, spending the time to build relationships, make sure the programs were succeeding, instead of just saying, oh, we put out a press release, it's done. I think the party learned a lot of lessons from 2010, and it's well documented in a lot of sources, and obviously the outcomes that the strategy didn't work particularly well. We saw huge losses, especially in our swing areas, from giving up on these strategies that had worked in the past, faith outreach particularly being one of them. A poll that just came out showed that the majority of Americans do not know that Obama's a Christian. And a lot of times Democrats and progressives will say, oh, well, that's just, voters are being done. How can they not know that? It's their fault. It's never the voters' fault when they're not educated about you. It's your fault. We've got to get the word out there. The strange thing here is President Obama himself has such a strong faith, is so comfortable talking about it, and is so thoughtful when he does. But then some of the senior decision makers are less so, and so there's been a sense of maybe if we just don't talk about it, it's safer. I don't think that's the case, and I think we're seeing more and more of the polling bear that out, and we're seeing a shift, again, as these programs get built back up, where I think the party establishment is starting to recognize that as well. I think we're seeing that building up now, coming into 2012. We have two staff now, Derek and Joshua at the DNC, who are both great, have a lot of responsibility, ability to move things, get them done. The Obama campaign finally hired on a faith director, Michael Weir, who's also very good. And we're definitely seeing a turnaround, a change on that. We're seeing a reinvestment in these strategies. Again, the question for 2012 is going to be if they can get made big enough and robust enough in the little time we have left.